Our next speaker is Steve DiPaola. He is a professor and a researcher at Simon Fraser University near Vancouver. And he is a veteran in the creative technology industry with experience spanning from his EA days and now to his creative technology and AI days. We met when he was putting on a exhibit at SIGGRAPH. And that was when our collaboration began. So, Steve, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Yes, at SIGGRAPH, they have these badges that say, my first SIGGRAPH was, and I'm getting old enough where it should say, my first SIGGRAPH was before you were born. Okay. So we can slide over to mine if it's working. I see it over here slightly. Oh, good, great. By the way, I wanted to say with that last group, remember about interaction, because I'm going to talk about it a lot. So the notion is the foreground person could be going to these technologies and changing the background. And you'll see how I'm doing that with dancers and stuff like that. So it's not only that you're making the video production kind of beforehand easier, it's that literally you're changing it on the fly is really interesting. Okay, this is completely in my face. So during the break, you maybe saw some of the work that I'm going to show. I'm definitely going to try and bring the human in and movement in. So this was a piece that was awarded at SIGGRAPH at that Neural IPS. This was pre-Realtime. I'm a person who came from painting, so it has to have a thickness to it. So I never could use these Realtime tools. Now working with LivePeer and working with Ryan on the inside, I'm able to do some really exciting things. So this is from a real dancer, and then my artwork. Often as an artist, I'm not a big prompt person. So when Ryan talks about IP adapter, that's me, because I'm always taking my old artwork and using it as a seed, even if it becomes something completely different. So this piece is around if you're interested. The other thing I would like to say is everything we have is available to other people. So if you see some exciting, talk to me in my lab of grad students. This is the dancer that we just saw. So how does she interpret herself? By the way, she would just have to do it and hope it looks good. With the Realtime systems now, as I'm telling my world of Pixar and things, that mocap is kind of dead because someone could be moving and seeing exactly I'm an abstract when I do this with my hand. This happens. This was the painting that we just saw mixed. So this was me. I think it was explained. I have this kind of research lab that is cognitive science-based, but I've always been an artist as well for many years, and my lab is up in Vancouver. And I think the thing that I'm trying to do here is put a lot more of the human back in. So that's using voice, movement, intent. I have a muse here, so like even just how my brain works, and I'll show you some of that as well. Okay, and my lab is 76% women. I go to a lot of conferences. I count how many women every single time is in the audience because it's just disastrously awful in my years of STEM. So I go from Stanford to here to EA. I have vowed that's not going to be me. So again, if there are people in the room or daughters, we have this great lab. These women win awards. They just kick butt, and a lot of what I'm showing you is from them. I'm an AI explainer. I gave over 40 news interviews last year about everything possible, and we know what a strange world it is. So we bring that to the table as well, too. On my art side, I worked on this Kraftwerk music video many years ago, and then we just had it again at the Whitney Museum. It was the first show of programmed art, not art from computers. Sorry, I have something that's moving here. Not art from computers, art where you program it for that, and that was a great show. Yeah, and then I went back the year later. I'm from New York, so very excited that I got to my favorite museum, which is the Museum of Modern Art, and showed stuff there. I was at EA, and I did this evolutionary AI system for The Sims. So I'm a big face guy, as you'll start noticing. That was in 2002, so we've been using AI in art for a long time. Surely I'm going to talk about human movement. So this is using a precursor to the scope system, again, that Ryan has built and talked about. And what's so interesting is the quantum time and space thing. It's not only my parameters, it's how I move. If I slow down too much, it's gonna look different. So working with performers and actors really changes everything. I'm a researcher, so we do this in health and other ways. We got a big Google Knight Foundation grant because it turns out for anonymization, where you don't want to see, these are the Uyghurs in China, they're very persecuted, but we can show how wonderful they do these movements and things by using these tools. And this was not real time. I'm so excited that we could use these tools now where people can be talking and hiding their face, and even emotionally the colors are changing based on the story they're trying to tell their audience. But I'm also talking about movement, not only with human movement, with art, in art, space, and math. And a lot of my artwork here at the MIT Museum, but also this piece, which is bird, tree, fly, is I move through these spaces and sometimes pull out stills, sometimes go interactive. So I've been doing this for a bit. It's possible. You just have to do it all your life. I'm 67, and I just got the biggest commission of my life, which was Lamborghini, had their 60th anniversary, and they actually paid me for art. There's an idea. So it does happen. So I'm mainly here, and we've heard this before, that we're moving desperately from the old world of Photoshop and cameras and pixels and masking, and we're totally moving into semantic editing. It's about concepts. I want rain. There was this thing that happened when I was young. I want you to paint that in some emotional way. This is the space we're moving into. So here I am. I'm from New York and then was here at Stanford and EA for many years, but now I'm up in the woods in Vancouver, so this is next to my favorite tree. And I was thinking about Van Gogh and this with Gauguin. He lived in this little room, so there's the room. I could now just move to that room myself, so I become the chairs of that room. This is what we're starting to move into as artists. And I'm surely doing that sometimes even in still form, just moving through a series of work and deciding where I want to stop. So we just gave a big talk at Stanford to performers and artists, and we brought up all these new issues, moving through ideation and emotion space I just talked about, but all these others, which I don't have time to talk about, but you could always look at that talk. Surely for dancers, extending the body is quite a big thing. So here's an example of that. Here's my old PhD student, Shannon, who's now a collaborator on a lot of work with me, and she's doing a move. I have it just sped up here, and I can get it to look in different ways. So I am using my art, like I just showed you. Now, sometimes you do this and it just wallpapers on, and you really have to work it so these balls are moving in kind of the interesting way. I do a lot of 3D, and people thought, oh, you're using particle systems. I'm like, I don't have to use particle systems anymore. I actually can just explain particleness, and it's there, and it's so much easier to change. I want you to notice here that I'm having, this is Shannon, and I said rain on her. And you'll see with the top of this leaf, when it falls down, water will fall out, meaning it completely understands surface tension and physics. So let me just start that. Note also, because we've done the research, that people think this looks like a plant growing and being in the sun, not a mocap of a human. So we're aesthetically moving we're pulling down, and Ryan talked about Laura's as one way to do it, aesthetic movement and the emotion of aesthetic movement. And then we can say, but do that as a tree. And then it's like, okay, but a tree is different. It's like, okay, let's work that out. So this is the new world that we're in. You can see, I realized, I was like, okay, maybe I could just do it in front of, I could just scream, I could drum, I could do whatever I want to get what I feel out and get it working. So you saw the earlier piece, it's been winning awards. And let's move on from that. I used to do it with very complicated scenes, and I think the big thing for me that people were surprised of, that I do this odd triple dipping. The only way to get it to look good is this is kind of dancer, in this case it's my hand, and then another one and another one. So I'm moving from dance space to somewhere in between, catching emotion that way, and then going to tree. And this used to take a lot of work, and now I'm working with Live Pier here. This is a painting of mine. Here I am at SIGGRAPH with dancers, as we do a lot with. And they're showing off mocap, and there's a real-time camera in front of them now, so they can move around that way. And this has a lot to do with the video production we just saw. But I'm over here with that painting now creating a whole nother world. And as nice as that is, what was more interesting to me in this big auditorium is how it changed the room and the atmosphere. So we're doing a lot with kind of rethinking. So I've been telling, again, my 3D people in VR that this stuff is just as much VR as anything else. You're creating worlds, you can move through it. I wanted to quickly mention, just in case, we do just as much in the imagination space of the human mind. So it turns out we have a historic Van Gogh. We're working with a museum on it. Van Gogh wrote 800 letters to his brother Theo, and they're kind of rambling, but it's everything he ever thought. And if you tie that to a good biography of him, so you're linking exactly when he did things, and then you're doing similar to what Live Pier is doing, but we were doing in this other space, you're coming up with his mind. So every one of these is like kind of a rag chunk of his memory. And when I talk to him, you can see where he's pulling his memories from and how it's going through. So this is really exciting. What's really exciting with the terms of what's happening here is I don't have to make him look realistic. When he gets blue, I can make him look like this, or like this, or like this. These are all from my system. So now we're moving into mind space and other spaces at the same time. We have a lot in this space, and I'll just keep going. But if you're interested in kind of characters that come alive and have emotions, we're doing that as well. Believe it or not, just as an off topic slightly, we're closing in. Someone said, really? Why do you want to do that? It's like, that's what I want on my damn tombstone. And what do you mean? It's like, oh, there was a date we couldn't talk to animals. Really? It's like Steve's changed that. So it is becoming, with a lot of these same tools, that we could point video at dogs and other animals and understand them and maybe even talk back. So that is a research that we're doing at my lab, which means you guys can come do it. Similarly, there's 10,000 scrolls that are all damaged. And we're using these techniques to give a choice about how they want to do it. We've never been able to do this in real time. In real time, it just changes everything significantly. Same thing with kind of, I was showing the anonymization stuff. The anonymization stuff is very exciting to me because we'd had to film the person and then go through steps and then later make it. But if they can see what they look like, they're very nervous. What happens if people recognize me? It's like, will you decide, use Ryan's sliders, and you decide what level is good for you. We also have it with, and there's some ethical issues here, but where we can see the emotions on the face. So if I, so she's almost clipping with her happiness, but you can see up here as she's talking, like, oh, I can't move ahead. That we were able, so that would be another thing that we could understand facially. You could literally control some of the things we've seen today just with your face or drumming or screaming and all these things, like I said. So that's using a lot of these sensor systems. We do that. I'm moving slightly to health now. This is kind of a health practitioner helping somebody who's depressed. And when she breathes in, she looks like that. Breathe out, looks like this. And what we can do, and she's got the Muse headset on, so this is literally her trying to control. So this is, and you'll see there's a gentleman here in VR, and this would be the notion that I could just try and calm you down, or I can go to my happy place, grab you, and you could come into my dream, and we could calm down that way. Now, I used to have to do this totally in 3D and particle systems. Now I could do it with these kinds of new systems. Here's me literally, very rapidly. Steve DiPaola, and this is her. So that would be what's going on in my brain. I'm using the gamma, which is more dreamlike, and then if I concentrate, it turns into my heart. So birds congeal to my heart, and then I see my heartbeat. This is wonderful. If you've ever used on your phone or your watch these, you should calm down. And it goes to green if you're getting better with this notion of seeing it in this other way. So this is the Muse, and I'll just show you. Here I have the Muse on. I'm testing the system that we've been working on with Ryan. I've decided it's not my house, but in fact, Monet's garden. I could touch things. This is where I've been convincing my 3D friends, no. With a moving camera, we totally have VR just as much as you do. So now I'm going to show you. So even my keyboard becomes a bunch of little plants, right? So what's possible is quite amazing. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to point to my Muse, and I'm going to try and go to a different prompt, so to speak. And slowly you'll notice by thinking it, it's looking more and more like me, still in this kind of painterly space. And as I move back, yeah, there you go. So as I move back, you'll see that this is now this painted room and no longer a garden, and this is quite different. If I move ahead, I go to my printer back here. Now it's a box with paint rather than roses. So this is amazing for artists how we can move through these spaces. This is the work I've always done. I'm working with dancers a lot. So do I want to do dance? We want to do an environmental piece with dancers and trees. Should it look like this? Should it look like that? When I saw this one, as I was thinking through the night, how come my art is in galleries and not trees? Oh, maybe I could make trees that match art, and this is a show that I'm trying to put on. Very expensive to make clay versions of these trees, but and then these are my friends, the trees. So these are, and working with dancers. I'm going to check on you on time. How are we doing? Yeah, we're good. Okay, so I'm just going to say all this is around if you want to try it. And I went through a number of spaces from health to dance to others to realize, like, oh, I could dance as a tree. I could scream and it could be a tree, and all that kind of work. So this is what we're doing up in our lab, and we're so excited to be working with LivePeer. Thank you.